Anybody want some wolf? Oh, it's empty.
All right, I saw a motion to come out of executive session. Motion, Mr. Morrison, second by myself. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Let the record reflect no action was taken. All right, Mr. Slade, go ahead and see if anybody's out there. If someone wants to come join us. Well, we do need to get Tim and Mike Harrison. You texting them? All right. Essentially where we are, Craig sent out an email about Indian Mound Trail. This is the one that started back at the end of the 1990s.
Didn't we talk about this the other day?
We did, but we were not in official. I'm looking for official action to take today.
Okay.
What I'm wanting to do is the road does not meet current standards, specifications. However, the request has become what standard do we need to get it to? And about, I would say 90% of the lots that front this road have been built on. So all really the heavy traffic is done. You've got about at least a 22-inch roadway, 22-foot wide roadway. So I mean the roadway's there.
Well, that's standard. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not there on the surface yet. It's still a gravel surface. It's got some weak spots in it. We're proposing to set a standard that they've got to pass a proof roll first, subject to Mike Harrison and Tim Parker being out there, and then come back and put in 3 inches of hot mix on top of that. Once they pass the proof roll to give us a blacktop finish, something that Mike can maintain. Mike and Tim have been, as well as Craig, have been in the negotiations or the discussions of this from the get-go, trying to come up with a solution. Because I don't think if we go in there and say you got to put in 15 inches of gravel or 10 inches of hot mix, whatever, it's going to fly.
How many miles are we talking?
1.1 mile.
Well, and you're only doing section at a time, right?
No, we're doing that whole 1 mile.
No, I know that, but I'm saying...
No, we're not doing it. They already know about the other roads.
That's what I'm saying. If something else develops, it's got to come up there, too.
We've already conveyed to them, done with the other ones, because not like 2 or 3 or 4 tracks on those roads. And I said, we're done. And they know that. I mean, they both Ken and Pete know that this is it. This is what we're trying to do. What I'm looking for is board action is to say, given these parameters, if y'all meet these parameters and telling them you got till the end of next December because a new board may be seated, and you may not have this.
Yeah.
So you got till the end of December of next year to present this to us. And if you can't do it, tough. But if you can, the board will take it. Mike's looked at, we're talking about Indian Mound now.
Yes.
Mike and Tim have been involved. They can answer any questions. We think we've come to a...
Well, Bob, you said they know about the other roads. What about the other roads?
They're gravel. They stay private. And this part of the record reflect too, but I mean, we told Ken, and he knows. He goes, I understand the rest of them are private.
Until they bring them up.
Well,
No, I don't think so. Well, they can bring them up by shutting it down.
If they want to bring it up, they can.
Well, they can. If they want, you're right. If they want to bring it up to a standard, they
Do
can.
they not have any responsibility to bring those roads up? Because those other people are going to have to suffer a gravel road.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they only paid $4,000 an acre for it.
Well, I'm just saying, though, the developer still is about to pave part of the road for part of the people and leave the rest of them
Well,
on
this
their
road
own.
is going to match up to the cul-de-sac that we already maintain.
I know.
So let's get a big picture view right quick so that it's clear on the record, okay? This thing started life before the county had a development ordinance in place. This development began life, and lots were being broken off before there was a development ordinance, before there was an official road standard that was in place on paper for subdivisions. That makes this development unique, okay? They existed before we had the regulation. They have continued to build out, to break out lots, and to put houses in place and to have building permits issued. They've continued that process during the point in time when we do have a development ordinance in place, and we further refined our development ordinance. Here's where it gets real tricky. The roads, if you dial the clock back to the end of 2017, the roads that are being essentially almost every aspect of what is being put in front of you for authorization to go to them on an offer, they would meet the standard that we had all the way up to 17, because we did have 22-foot wide up to that point. Our standard now is 24, okay? So the deviation that you're being asked to authorize for a development that began life before there was a development ordinance, I'm talking about in the early 90s, you're being asked to allow them to bring their road up to a standard that is about 90% of our current standard. We feel like that's a good compromise for a development that began life way before we started regulating. And we're trying to get on top of an issue. The question, why aren't they going ahead and dealing with all of their roads? Real simple.
Money.
They can't afford it.
I know,
They
but I
just
also
simply
know
can't do
that
it.
all those residents out there are going to be coming, because I've already seen this in a subdivision that was done just like this, and, you know, developer refused to go out there and do it, and it basically left the home buyers to file suit against the developer, and they don't have the resources
Well,
to do it.
this is where we feel like it's going after all the multiple discussions, meetings, conversations, showing up at my office unannounced. After all that, where we feel like we're headed here is that this 1.1 mile stretch will be the test case. We're being told that this is what they want to do and that they are ready to do if you can approve it. Literally, the standard, y'all will get a 22-foot wide road bed with appropriate shoulders and ditching. You will get a proof roll surface with 3 inches of black base. And so literally to go out there and look at it, Jay, it will look just like any other
Well, I'm not
subdivision
opposed to
road.
what we're being presented here. I'm on board with it.
Okay.
I was just concerned about what else Bob's fixing to face
I
after
understand.
this.
If I can
So,
get past
exactly
this,
right.
if I can get past this, I really do, because I mean, we have the few other smaller roads out there, whenever they come in for a building permit, we stopped it. And we get their attention, and we say, okay, now, Ken and Pete, here we are again. And I let it sit for about 30, 45 days, then I'll finally let the building permit go. So they get the idea that they understand that the board is tired of doing this, you know. And we just can't. I mean, it's just not going to happen unless, like Jerry said, unless they bring it up. I mean, and they could. I mean, but
you can't hold them back.
no, that's right.
Since we're being recorded, I want to state one more time to make it as clear as it can possibly be. So if we need to hit rewind, we can, and hit play again to make it really clear. In situations where we've got a 30-year plus old development with private roads that don't meet our standards, in order for that to be fixed, because everybody knows we do have that, it does exist in other parts of the county, so it may as well be stated very clearly. In order to solve that problem, it's going to take a very strong, expensive investment on the part of the developer or the homeowners or the HOAs in order to get that road up to a passable standard. If it's a development that has begun life since we've begun regulating with development ordinances, that particular development is going to have to meet every aspect of our standards. That's the distinction here that needs to be very clear. If it's new development, it's going to meet the standards. We're not taking it. I don't know how much more clear to make it. This thing is unique in that it's 30 plus years old, and we've been dealing with it forever, and there wasn't a standard when it began. There wasn't a recognized, written down standard. We had standards, but it wasn't as documented. It is now. So we think this is probably about the best solution that we can get under the circumstances. We're not going to solve the whole problem, but we are now driving down a stake that says, if we're going to fix the remaining problems in Indian Mound, it will have to look like this Indian Mound Ridge solution.
Right.
Now, everybody's on the same page, and we know.
I'm gonna make the stipulation too, or the clarification too, that, and y'all two listen to me, that Mike and Tim are out there when we do the proof roll. I think that was a given anyway, that you're gonna do that. And that somebody be out there, I guess we can measure the hot mix as it goes down, that we make sure that we get the minimum, you know.
They don't get it thin in the center and thick on the
There
edges.
you go. That's what I'm scared of.
Supposed to be an inspection process, so anything they do out there is just like our new subdivision, they need to call for inspection, so we can go out and inspect it.
So if the board so desires to make this happen today, Mr. Stone, would you put that in a letter? you
Yes,
know,
sir.
and,
Right.
and spell it out and make sure that
Yeah.
the respective parties get it.
Right.
And even to the point, we may go ahead and notify the landowners out there too, what the board's done, you know, so they have an understanding, we've done our part, you know.
When the others come in here to complain or are upset, then it really falls back on the developer.
That's right. I mean,
Okay.
we've done our part.
Gets it off
We've
you.
set the standard there, so, and they've
Yes.
agreed to that standard. So I'm gonna make the motion, that we set the minimum standards at the proof roll, 3 inches of hot mix, proper ditching. What else, Mr. Parker? Anything else you can think of? Not you, Mr. Parker, the other Mr. Parker.
22-foot wide lanes.
What about striping it?
Huh?
You wanna stripe it?
Hopefully we'll have we want to, we get a stripe, do we need, can it big wide enough to get striped when they get done? Yeah,
22 will.
put a stripe on it. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bishop, any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign, motion carries. That's to add it to the agenda. I make the motion to approve. Second,
Second.
Mr. Bishop, all in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate it.
I got one thing, just real quick, it's gonna take a second. I got a letter from, somebody evidently, in leadership Rankin. They're doing this deal, this Mardi Gras thing. They're having a chili gumbo cook-off and,
A gumbo fest. I
Yeah.
thought we could get Jay to represent us as a team.
right? Well, anyway, obviously they're looking for sponsors and they have a list here. They have one that's down at $250, which is what we do. And I just thought I'd discuss, y'all wanna do that for leadership Rankin.
We could be on their magazine or brochure as advertisement, but can we just give them the 250 like
No,
that?
it's advertisement in there, I believe, still mentions the advertisement of what they'll do.
It's, depends on what all you do.
They don't
250
qualify,
just
do they?
gonna get you.
They're trying to raise $75,000 through this thing.
You're
mean,
That's a
It-
tall order.
recognized
That's a lot of
for
gumbo.
social
That's a tall
media.
order. What are they using the money for? I can't remember. Do you remember what the same thing yesterday? Did they miss us what
They
they're
might
using the money
speak
for?
about it more.
I forgot to
They do
ask.
Social media like Facebook and everything.
What the 250 does, recognizes you on social media, gives 2 VIP armbands, gumbo cook-off, team if desired. And Jay, that's your department.
I think if we're gonna do it, we need to do it personally, not through the county.
Whatever you wanna do, I just told them I'd bring it up.
If you
Thought
want
I'd bring it up.
to, if you want to put together a gumbo team, I'll put up sponsorship. I'll put up at least a good part of it.
I'll put,
I don't wanna do that.
there's 5 of us. There's 5
How
of
did
us.
I,
I'll give
you
them
know, how'd I
50.
get run into the?
Well, you always promote
cooking
gumbo,
gumbo.
man. They just, you know.
Maverick can cook it.
Maybe we can get one of the sheriff's trustees to be our gumbo cooker. All right, anything else before we
Okay, so you don't
adjourn?
wanna do it, all right. But I will make you aware of it if you
I have a
wanna do
question.
something individually.
January 3rd is the first
When is it?
legal meeting
That's
in the month for us,
No,
but it's not by statute because
No,
it's,
by statute, it's not, that's a work section.
It's January 7th.
but January 7th is when we start doing all the stuff we have to do for the customary.
That
Okay.
is the first official
All right.
meeting.
Yes.
So are we adjourning or
First Monday, we're recessing
When is it?
You're recessed to
we're recessing? Recessing it out of the month?
Recessing to the 3rd.
Yes, because.
Because that's not an
First
official meeting.
Official, okay. All right, is there a motion to recess January 3rd? Motion, Mr. Gaines, second, Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. We are recessed. Thank you for coming, everyone. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Hey.
Something I thought of too.